Richard Rawlings, born on March 30th, 1969 in Fort Worth, Texas, grew up far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood or the flashy world of television. His neighborhood was working class, filled with ordinary families striving to make ends meet. But even as a child, Richard's world revolved around cars. Unlike other kids who spent Saturday mornings watching cartoons or playing video games, Richard was already fascinated by the machines that carried people across streets, highways, and dreams. One of the earliest glimpses of this passion is captured in a photograph of him as a small boy sitting proudly in a pedal-powered Volkswagen Beetle. While it may have seemed like a simple toy, for Richard, it was a preview of the life he would one day build around automobiles. From a very young age, Richard was taught the value of hard work. At just 3 years old, he joined his father on early morning newspaper delivery rounds. While the rest of the city slept, father and son would roll up stacks of newspapers, drive through quiet streets, and toss the papers onto driveways. This routine repeated itself after school with the afternoon edition. On weekends, he rode his bike from house to house, collecting payments from subscribers. What set Richard apart was not just his diligence, but his keen eye for cars. As he delivered papers, he noticed every vehicle he passed, the make, the model, the year, and even the small details that most adults would overlook. Customers were often amazed at how much a young boy knew about their cars. When asked, Richard simply explained, "I ride by your house twice a day, most days of the week. How wouldn't I know what's in your driveway?" Richard's father, a hard-working man who often juggled 2 or 3 jobs, had a simple philosophy. If you want something, you must earn it. For young Richard, that principle was tied to cars and motorcycles. His father made sure that whenever Richard received a reward, it was something tangible, a toy car or a miniature motorcycle. That lesson stuck deeply. Richard learned early that dedication and effort could turn desire into reality. By the time he was 14, Richard had bought his first car, a green 1974 Mercury Comet. He paid for it entirely with the money he had saved from years of newspaper delivery. While most teenagers were dreaming about turning 16 and getting a driver's license, Richard was already behind the wheel, exploring his neighborhood and experimenting with his newfound independence. That first car wasn't just transportation. It was a statement of his determination, skill, and ambition. High school marked the next chapter in Richard's rise. By his senior year in 1987, he was already on his third car, a black 1977 Bandit Trans Am, reminiscent of cars from popular movies of the era. At Eastern Hills High School, he became known as the go-to-car guy. But Richard's interest went beyond admiration. He had a natural talent for flipping vehicles. He bought, repaired, and sold cars, learning to recognize bargains, negotiate deals, and maximize profits. Before graduation, he had flipped over 20 different cars, making more money than many teens earned with part-time jobs. This early experience taught him critical lessons in business, negotiation, and understanding value, skills that would define his future ventures. Even in his teenage years, Richard faced challenges that could have derailed anyone's dreams. Yet, he seemed drawn to risk and opportunity. A pivotal moment came between 1988 and 1990, when he faced life-threatening danger. While driving a 1965 Ford Mustang 2+2 Fastback near Oakland Boulevard in Fort Worth, he was ambushed by carjackers. Richard fought back, and a bullet tore through his shoulder and arm. Most people might have walked away from car culture forever, shaken by such a violent experience. Richard, however, became even more determined. The incident reinforced his resilience, courage, and unwillingness to let fear dictate his path. It was a stark introduction to life's unpredictability, shaping the tenacity that would become his trademark. By the late 1980s, Richard Rawlings was no longer just a curious, hard-working teenager from Fort Worth. He was a young man searching for purpose and direction. After high school, Richard explored multiple career paths, determined to find something meaningful and stable. Between the ages of 18 and 21, he held jobs as a police officer, a firefighter, and a paramedic. These were not casual roles. Each demanded discipline, courage, and the ability to remain calm under extreme pressure. His father had always emphasized the importance of a good job with benefits, loyalty, and security, and for a time, Richard pursued that path. But even in these positions, the spark for entrepreneurship and cars never left him. The experience of working in law enforcement and emergency services shaped Richard in profound ways. He learned how to manage crises, make split-second decisions, and stay composed under stress. These skills, seemingly unrelated to car restoration, would later become crucial in running his own business and managing Gas Monkey Garage. But Richard also realized that a conventional career, no matter how noble, wasn't enough to satisfy his ambitions. He wanted freedom, creativity, and the ability to build something of his own. The routine of uniformed service, while rewarding, left him yearning for more. In 1988, a chance encounter altered Richard's path. While delivering Miller Lite to a local bar, he met a man who appeared to be just another customer. When Richard mentioned that he was interested in law enforcement but couldn't afford the academy, the man revealed himself as the mayor of a nearby city. Within 17 days, Richard was enrolled in the North Texas Police Academy, quickly moving into law enforcement in Alvarado, Texas. Soon, he added firefighting and capo to his resume. Even though he excelled, the structured career still couldn't contain his restless energy. Richard's eyes were set on something bigger, something that would allow him to combine his love of cars, risk-taking, and entrepreneurial drive. By 25, Richard made a bold decision. He sold everything he owned, bought a Jeep, and moved to California, hoping to start fresh. At this point, he was clean-cut, with no tattoos or piercings and full of ambition. But the California dream proved harsh. Within 6 months, Richard returned to Texas broke, with his Jeep repossessed and no place to stay except his sister's couch. He had tattoos, pierced ears, and a sense of defeat, but he also had clarity. The experience taught him that failure was not the end. It was a lesson. Every setback was an opportunity to refine his approach, focus his energy, and prepare for something bigger. Determined to take control of his future, Richard launched his first business in 1999, Lincoln Press, a printing and advertising company in Dallas. Despite having no background in printing, he understood branding and marketing, which would become his strength in later ventures. Using a $100,000 small business loan, Richard set up operations and poured himself into learning every aspect of the industry. Within 5 years, Lincoln Press was thriving. Richard's creativity and willingness to take risks allowed him to stand out. In one memorable marketing stunt, he offered a Lamborghini Gallardo to the first client who spent $1 million with the company. That bold move paid off, attracting high-value clients and growing the business rapidly. Eventually, Richard sold Lincoln Press, gaining the capital he needed to pursue his true passion. Cars that Richard's early life, law enforcement experience, and first business ventures all contribute to the skills he would later use at Gas Monkey Garage. The hustle, the risk-taking, and the strategic thinking became part of his DNA. By the time he was ready to enter the automotive world, Richard was not only experienced, but also battle-tested. He knew what it took to survive setbacks, manage high-stakes situations, and make bold decisions. All lessons that would soon translate into a multi-million-dollar brand. By the early 2000s, Richard Rawlings had already tasted the lessons of hard work, risk, and business success. With the sale of Lincoln Press, he had both the experience and the capital to pursue his true passion, cars. In 2002, he launched Gas Monkey Garage in Dallas, Texas. Unlike a modern, polished shop, Gas Monkey started small and rough. The garage had no running water, no air conditioning, and only the bare minimum of tools. It was a place built on passion, determination, and grit rather than comfort or luxury. Yet, Richard believed in the vision. He was determined to turn Gas Monkey into a brand that people would recognize, respect, and associate with quality automotive work, AT first. The path was far from smooth. Richard and his small team traveled across the country, attending car shows, trade events, and rallies to promote Gas Monkey. Every connection mattered. Every handshake, every conversation, every small project was a step toward building credibility. Richard understood that his reputation was everything. It wasn't just about cars. It was about relationships, trust, and showing people that Gas Monkey was serious about automotive restoration. Over the next several years, the garage gradually gained attention within the car community. But Richard wanted something more. He wanted the world to see what Gas Monkey could do. In May 2007, Richard and his friend Dennis Collins took on one of the most daring challenges of his early career, the Cannonball Run. The original record, set in 1979, required driving nonstop from New York City to Los Angeles in 32 hours and 51 minutes. The record has stood untouched for nearly 3 decades. Richard and Colin set out in a modified Ferrari 550 Maranello, fitted with extra fuel tanks so that they wouldn't need to stop frequently. They left Manhattan under the cover of night and raced across the country, dodging traffic, weather, and fatigue. After an exhausting 31 hours and 59 minutes, they reached the finish line in California, officially breaking a record that had seemed untouchable for nearly 30 years. The Cannonball Run success did more than just cement Richard's love for high-stakes automotive challenges. It also earned him credibility in the car world. Jay Leno, one of the most respected figures in automotive culture, personally acknowledged Richard for the feat. Leno's recognition was a powerful endorsement, proving that Richard wasn't just a small-town car enthusiast. He was a serious, skilled player in the automotive world. This credibility would prove vital as he prepared to take Gas Monkey Garage to the next level. After years of slowly building the brand and reputation, Richard finally got his breakthrough in 2012 when Discovery Channel gave him a chance to bring Gas Monkey Garage to television. The show, Fast and Loud, premiered on June 6, 2012. The concept was simple but compelling. Richard and his team would find old, forgotten cars, restore them, and sell them for profit. But it wasn't just the cars that captured viewers' attention. It was the energy, the personality, and the risk involved. Richard brought charisma, humor, and boldness to the screen, making the show accessible not only to car enthusiasts, but also to casual viewers and families. He wanted everyone, from teenagers to grandparents, to enjoy the drama and excitement of car restoration. The show became an immediate hit. Gas Monkey Garage went from being a modest Dallas shop to a global brand recognized in over 200 countries. Fast and Loud was translated into 13 languages, making Richard Rawlings a household name virtually overnight. The exposure allowed Richard to expand beyond the garage. He launched restaurants, clothing lines, energy drinks, and more, all tied to the Gas Monkey brand. His ability to combine passion, entertainment, and business acumen was now visible to millions, and Richard had truly arrived. What set Richard apart from other reality TV personalities was his willingness to take risks, not just with the cars, but also with his personal and professional reputation. He often bought vehicles most people wouldn't touch, rusted, damaged, or seemingly worthless, but he had an eye for potential. Every restoration was a gamble, but it was one that viewers could watch unfold in real time. This combination of risk, skill, and showmanship became the signature of both Gas Monkey Garage and Fast and Loud, making Richard Rawlings a recognizable and influential figure in the automotive and entertainment worlds. The success of Fast and Loud was just the beginning for Richard Rawlings. Once the show gained traction, he realized that Gas Monkey Garage could become more than just a television brand. It could be a full-scale lifestyle empire. Richard's entrepreneurial instincts kicked into overdrive. He understood that fame on its own didn't guarantee success, but when paired with a strong brand and multiple revenue streams, it could open endless opportunities. By 2013, he was ready to expand beyond cars, taking the Gas Monkey brand into food, entertainment, and merchandise. That year, Richard opened the first Gas Monkey Bar and Grill in Northwest Dallas. Far from a simple restaurant, the venue combined multiple experiences under one roof. It offered live music, energetic crowds, and a taste of the Gas Monkey lifestyle. Richard carefully selected a management team with real expertise. He brought in Alex Mendonça, who had managed the House of Blues in Las Vegas, to run day-to-day operations, while culinary manager David Hollister crafted the menu. The first live show at the venue featured the American rock band Old 97s, setting the tone for Gas Monkey Bar and Grill as a space where music, culture, and energy came together. The success of the first restaurant encouraged Richard to open a second location in 2014, this time at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in Terminal D. The move was strategic. Airports have thousands of travelers passing through every day, providing exposure to a diverse, international audience. Richard wanted every visitor to experience the energy of Gas Monkey, even if only for a short meal or drink. Later that same year, he launched Gas Monkey Live, a massive 38,000-square-foot music venue located just across the street from the original restaurant. Previously Toby Keith's, I love this bar and grill. The location was redesigned to host up to 3,000 guests, bringing high-profile concerts and events to Dallas. From Social Distortion to Mötley Crüe, Gas Monkey Live became a destination for music fans, while maintaining the edgy, fast-paced brand Richard had cultivated with fast and loud. That Richard's business acumen didn't stop at restaurants and entertainment. By 2014, he had already leveraged his television fame into partnerships with major automotive brands. He became the national spokesperson for Dodge, appearing in commercials and events to promote Dodge vehicles and high-performance models. This move solidified his presence in both the automotive and mainstream consumer markets. Events like the Dodge Rocks Gas Monkey concert, held at his own venue, perfectly combined his passions for cars, music, and entertainment. Through these ventures, Richard positioned himself not only as a TV personality, but also as a cross-industry influencer, blending automotive culture with lifestyle and entertainment. In 2019, Richard took another step into new markets with Gas Monkey energy drinks. Instead of building a company from scratch, he wisely licensed the brand, maintaining control over its image while avoiding production costs. The drinks were bold, fast, and clean, reflecting the same energy he brought to television, music, and car culture. Initially launched with 2 flavors, the brand later expanded to include tropical blends featuring mango, passion fruit, pineapple, lemon, and honey. The products were available online in convenience stores and at major motorsport events like the Indianapolis 500, further linking Richard's brand with speed, excitement, and high performance. Beyond the business ventures, what stood out about Richard Rawlings was his ability to diversify without losing focus. While many TV personalities fade after a single show, Richard strategically built multiple streams of revenue around his core brand. From cars to concerts, restaurants, energy drinks, and sponsorships, everything carried the Gas Monkey DNA. His approach combined entertainment, commerce, and authenticity, a rare mix that allowed him to thrive in industries where many celebrities fail. By 2020, Richard had created a business empire that extended far beyond Dallas garages or television studios. Gas Monkey was no longer just a show. It was a lifestyle brand recognized worldwide. Even as the Fast and Loud series concluded in June 2020 after 16 seasons and 155 episodes, Richard's empire continued to grow. The end of the show was not a setback, but a strategic opportunity. Freed from network constraints, Richard explored YouTube and other new media projects, further cementing his brand in the digital space. His story became an example of how vision, perseverance, and calculated risk-taking can turn passion into an enduring legacy. Richard Rawlings had not only built a name for himself, but also redefined what a modern automotive entrepreneur could achieve. While Richard Rawlings was building a business empire and gaining international fame, his personal life often faced turbulence. The fast-paced world of cars, television, and entrepreneurship made it difficult to maintain stability at home. Richard's first marriage, to Karen K. Grams in 1993, came during his early years of pursuing the automotive dream. At that time, he was still navigating the challenges of a fledgling career, trying to find a balance between ambition and personal life. The marriage, unfortunately, lasted less than a year. There were no headlines, no media scrutiny, just a young man chasing his dream, while learning the difficult lesson that love and ambition do not always coexist easily. Karen chose to stay out of the spotlight, and little is publicly known about the brief union. However, this first marriage was the beginning of a recurring theme, the struggle to merge personal life with the pressures of professional growth. That Richard's second marriage was to Suzanne Marie Merrill in 1999. Around the same time, he was laying the foundation for Gas Monkey Garage. At first, the relationship seemed promising. Richard had begun to gain traction in the automotive world, and Suzanne supported him through the early, uncertain years of building the brand. Yet, the demands of Richard's expanding business and frequent travel created tension. By 2009, after 10 years together, the marriage ended in divorce. Despite the separation, the bond between Richard and Suzanne remained complex. In 2015, 6 years after their split, the couple reconciled in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and decided to give marriage a second chance. However, the reunion was temporary. By March 2019, Richard announced publicly on Twitter that they had separated once more. The announcement was unusual in its directness, but reflected Richard's desire to communicate openly with his fans. He emphasized that the split was mutual and that both parties still cared for one another. Suzanne received a financial settlement of $300,000 and retained her Mercedes SL 450 Roadster. Even in divorce, Richard spoke respectfully of Suzanne, highlighting a maturity and grace that balanced the public nature of his personal life. Shortly after his second divorce, Richard entered a new chapter of love with Katerina Dyson. Katerina had previously been married to Darwin Dyson, a Texas billionaire who sold his computer services company to Xerox for $6 billion. Her previous life included private jets, yachts, and a lifestyle of extraordinary wealth. By 2019, Katerina's life had changed, and she began dating Richard. The relationship moved quickly. On August 17, 2019, Richard proposed at the Tulum Resort in Mexico, filling the beach with rose petals and declaring publicly on social media that it found a soulmate. The couple married on June 28, 2020, in Key West, Florida. Their wedding was small and intimate due to COVID-19 restrictions, though originally a larger ceremony had been planned in Greece. Katerina's transition from a billionaire lifestyle to joining Richard's world of cars, TV, and business was significant, yet the couple seemed well suited for one another. This marriage marked a turning point, representing stability and companionship alongside the demands of fame and entrepreneurship. Even as Richard's personal life evolved, challenges continued to emerge in his professional world. Gas Monkey Bar and Grill faced legal battles and public scrutiny. In June 2018, the bar filed a $6 million defamation lawsuit against Richard, alleging deliberate attempts to break away from business agreements and create conflict. The lawsuit traced tensions back to 2013, when disagreements over operations and management began escalating. Emails from that period show accusations of mismanagement and disruptive behavior, with former employees describing Richard as difficult to work with at times. While these conflicts created pressure and public attention, Richard maintained that much of the behavior stemmed from misunderstandings and personal challenges, including stress and alcohol use. He apologized for past actions, but the legal battles highlighted the difficulty of balancing personal ambition, leadership, and public perception. In addition to lawsuits, Richard faced a constant challenge of managing fame while protecting his personal life. The attention from TV fans, social media, and automotive enthusiasts meant that his relationships, finances, and daily decisions were always under scrutiny. Yet, Richard approached these challenges with resilience, using experience, strategic thinking, and transparency to navigate the pressures. His ability to separate personal setbacks from professional growth became a defining feature of his journey, illustrating complexities behind the fame and success portrayed on television. Richard's story is a reminder that behind the fast cars, TV cameras, and business ventures, there's a human being navigating love, mistakes, triumphs, and lessons learned over decades of hard work and risk-taking. By 2018, Richard Rawlings had built an empire: Gas Monkey Garage, Fast and Loud, restaurants, merchandise, and partnerships with major brands. Yet, even with worldwide fame and financial success, challenges emerged that tested his resilience and reputation. One of the most serious was the $6 million legal battle involving Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. The lawsuit shocked fans and industry insiders alike, revealing the complicated realities behind Richard's rise to fame. The conflict began years earlier, around 2013, shortly after Richard opened Gas Monkey Bar and Grill in Dallas. According to legal documents, tensions arose between Richard and his business partners over management decisions, operational control, and financial accountability. Former employees described a toxic environment, where disagreements escalated into accusations of mismanagement and deliberate interference. Emails from that time revealed complaints about Richard showing up uninvited, making decisions without consultation, and challenging employees over missing financial records. The allegations included claims that these actions disrupted business operations and harmed vendor relationships. As the situation worsened, the lawsuit grew in scope. By 2015, disputes over contracts and control intensified. Gas Monkey Bar and Grill claimed that Richard's behavior had negatively affected sales and operations, arguing that his public statements and management style were damaging to the brand. The legal documents highlighted multiple incidents, including accusations of financial mismanagement interference with staff, and the scuttling of potential deals. One email exchange showed Richard accusing the team of mishandling records, while his partners countered with invitations for him to review the books in person, a meeting Richard declined. The situation demonstrated the high-stakes tension between Richard's personal style and the business's operational needs by end 2019. The conflict escalated further when Richard filed a $1 million counterclaim for copyright infringement, arguing that his former partners continued to use Gas Monkey trademarks and logos after licensing agreement had ended. Richard's team claimed that all licensing rights had expired by late 2018, and that the continued use of branding violated his intellectual property. This legal battle illustrated a crucial aspect of Richard's career: his dedication to protecting the Gas Monkey brand. While lawsuits are never glamorous, they highlighted how seriously he took the value of his intellectual property, reputation, and legacy. At the same time, Richard was navigating a major professional transition, leaving Discovery Channel. In 2020, after 16 seasons of Fast and Loud, Richard announced that he had exited the network, citing a desire for creative freedom and control over his projects. The decision was significant. Leaving a major network carried risk, especially for someone whose fame was tightly tied to television. Yet, Richard embraced the move as an opportunity to expand into new media, including YouTube and other digital platforms. The exit reflected his entrepreneurial mindset, calculated risk-taking, vision, and confidence in his ability to thrive independently of traditional television structures. The $6 million legal battle, combined with the Discovery exit, created a period of intense scrutiny and pressure for Richard. Fans and media speculated about the dark secrets behind the lawsuit, wondering how someone so successful could face such challenges. Richard, however, approached the situation with transparency and strategic management. He addressed the lawsuits publicly when necessary, remained focused on his business ventures, and continued expanding his brand across multiple industries. This period demonstrated a key characteristic that had defined his career from the beginning: resilience under pressure. Despite the legal challenges and media attention, Richard's empire endured. Gas Monkey Garage continued to operate. Fast and Loud remains influential through reruns and online content, and his lifestyle brand, including restaurants, music venues, energy drinks, and merchandise, remained strong. The lawsuits and network departure were not the end of the story. Instead, they marked a turning point, highlighting Richard's ability to navigate complex legal, professional, and personal challenges while maintaining his vision. The $6 million legal battle ultimately reflected more than money or control. It symbolized the complexities of building a modern media-driven business. For Richard Rawlings, it was a test of leadership, resilience, and strategic thinking. And by facing these challenges head-on, he demonstrated that the man behind Gas Monkey Garage was more than a TV personality. He was a savvy entrepreneur, a risk-taker, and a figure willing to confront the obstacles that came with fame, fortune, and ambition.